Hello everyone, another video, and today we're going with a story. A follower sent it in. Well, here we go, but first, go ahead and leave your like, it helps a lot now at the beginning. Let's get to the story. I was in love with a neighbor who also studied in my class, at school. We were 15 years old at the time. I spent a year rehearsing to be able to approach her and declare myself. But when I finally had the courage, I heard that line from her that many of you must have heard. You're my friend, I don't want to ruin our friendship, that kind of thing. After hearing that, I gave up and stopped fantasizing about things that weren't going to happen. Barbara was a very cool person. To be honest, she let me down in a polite way, trying not to hurt me. Because of that, we remained classmates and talked normally. Barbara was very beautiful. And after a while, I realized that it would never work out. The most popular guys in school fought over her. And I didn't have a chance. Even after being rejected, I acted normally. We did tests and school work together. And even when she started dating, we kept talking, as if nothing had happened. When we finished high school, I went to college. Barbara ended up getting pregnant. She had recently changed boyfriends and got pregnant by this new one. Because of that, she dropped out of college. She and this boyfriend ended up getting married, but they went to live with her mother, in a very simple ceremony. Since she was living with her mother, I kind of followed her day-to-day life. It was inevitable, since our houses were attached, wall to wall. She and her husband fought a lot, practically every day. And living at her mother's house wasn't something that helped. Her husband, from what people said, wasn't very keen on working. It was very common to hear Barbara's mother calling him a bum. And, as was to be expected, the marriage didn't last long, it ended in less than 2 years. Barbara and her husband ended up separating. She was turning 21, the same age as me. I was going into my 3rd year of college. Whenever I arrived, we would cross paths at the gate and talk for a bit. She was always outside with her son. At that time, we lived in Australia and it was very hot. It was very common for people to stay outside late, especially on weekends. Sometimes, when I would arrive, Barbara was outside with her son asleep in her lap. I would always stay for 15 or 20 minutes talking to her before going inside. She was still beautiful at that time, she didn't even look like a mother. Her body, her skin, everything was perfect. And, once again, my mangina spirit ended up awakening, and I started trying something with her again. And, luckily for me, today I see that it was lucky, I was rejected by Barbara again. She came at me with the same line she had told me when we were 16. She only changed a few words and added a few things. She said that I was the only man she was friends with and would stop and talk to. She said she had a lot of affection for me, that her family adored me and that if we tried something and it didn't work out, it would ruin our friendship. Once again, I swallowed my tears and moved on. The following year, I graduated and it was a year of many changes in my life. I ended up losing my father, getting a job in another city, moving out of my house, and living alone. Around the same time, Barbara got married again. This time, to a guy who was a little older and had more money, the owner of a construction supply warehouse in a neighboring city. Even though I lived in another city, I visited my mother frequently, at least once a month. But I didn't see Barbara anymore. After she got married, she also moved. Time passed. To be more exact, it had been about 6 years since I had seen her. I only knew that she was still married and had 2 more children. Her husband was a bit snobbish and very rarely appeared at her mother's house. My mother always commented on this. Until, during my vacation, I went to spend a few days at my mother's house. And Barbara was at her mother's house. She had just separated from her husband. It was a very messy separation. People said at the time that she ended up catching him with the nanny who took care of the children. It didn't take long for her to hear my voice and start shouting my name, for me to go to the gate to talk to her. She hugged me, asked how I was, told me a little about her separation, and asked for some advice. She said she was going to receive a good amount of money and wanted to start a business, open a store or some kind of shop. We talked for a long time and I realized that she started flirting with me. She was very different now. The smooth skin, the beautiful face she used to have, was now full of spots, wrinkles, and marks of time, which is normal. She was also quite overweight. She even complimented my body. At the time, I was serious about the gym, practiced jiu-jitsu, and had a well-defined body. And that's when I realized that our roles were now reversed. If before she thought she didn't match with me, now it was me who thought I didn't match with her. During our conversation, I gave some subtle and polite hints for her to realize that I wasn't interested in her. We talked about my job, which I had just left. I said that I almost got married, but that, unfortunately, it didn't work out and that, because of that, I wanted distance from relationships. After I said that, I believed she had gotten the message. But I noticed that her excitement only increased. I ended up making up an excuse, said I needed to take a shower, and went into my mother's house. But, after about an hour and a half, my mother came to call me. Barbara was waiting for me at the gate. She introduced me to her children, one of whom is even named Victor, the same name as me. According to her, she named him in my honor. But I didn't believe that. To me, she just wanted to get on my good side. She said she was going to leave them with her mother and asked if I could go with her, about 2 blocks up from my mother's house, to see a pet shop they were selling. I ended up feeling awkward and accepted the invitation. I took my car and drove her to see the said business. On the way back, she asked me to stop the car in a small square, a little before my mother's house and her mother's house. She said she needed to talk to me. I stopped the car, already imagining what she wanted, and she started reminiscing about our time in school, when I liked her. And about how none of the boyfriends and husbands she had ever looked at her. She also talked about when she only had her oldest son, when she had just separated, and how gentle I had been with her, wanting to date and take on her son. And it was at that moment that she looked directly into my eyes and said, "You know, Victor, I feel that fate didn't want us to be together in the first attempts you made to talk to me. We are more mature people, and I feel that now I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Honestly, what do you feel now?" I tried to hold back, but I replied, "So, Barbara, I'm offended, because I take care of myself and I have a peaceful life. And now that you have 3 children, you spent all the best years of your life with others, and now that you're in this state, you come looking for me." I didn't want to say anything, but I really felt offended. She then turned, got out of the car, and slammed the door. And I never saw her again. Well, everyone, that was the story. If you have one and want to send it, the email is in the description. And consider buying my ebook, Antifragile, link, QR code, and description. Until the next video. Onward, warriors.